Hello, my name is Abdullah Kabaj, and today we will be talking about globalization of higher education. In this video, we're going to go over what is globalization. We're going to briefly go over some examples of globalization. Then we're going to talk about the social, ethical, and economic implications of globalization for higher education and the role the government plays in it. Globalization is the process of interaction and integration among people, businesses, governments, and nations. This process is aided by international trade, investments, and information technology. Today we see examples of globalization all around us. For example, trade. The exchange of goods and services is due to improved transportation, political stability, and cooperation among different governments and nations. For example, look at Amazon. We can order something today from the United States and receive it a couple days later, shipped all the way from China. That's a lot of cooperation between the governments, the businesses, the shipping companies that make all this possible. Another example is immigration. Now any person can go work, live, and study in a different place other than where they were born. Another example of globalization is travel. Now with air travel and trains and all different means of transportations, we have the ability to experience different places and different cultures. Most importantly is the effects of globalization on our access to knowledge. For the longest time, knowledge was spread among people and nations through word of mouth and written texts. Today, we all have access to knowledge like never before. Everything is a click away, everything is a scroll away. You could virtually find everything and anything on the internet. So this is a good leeway to our topic today, globalization on higher education. So what are the effects of globalization on our education system? Globalization of education has allowed a worldwide competition for human talent. It created a race for innovative research among nations. It also allowed a clash of cultures among international students and domestic students. It introduced a culture of a clash of minds and clash of knowledge. Globalization transformed much of the world as we know it, and education is no different. Governments play a big role when it comes to the globalization of education. Nations like to keep up with other nations out there, so think about all the research grants, all the scholarships offered to students, think about all the visas issued, think about all the international engagement and international affairs between countries that host and send other students. So the government plays a big role when it comes to facilitating all these activities to push further the globalization of higher education. Globalization of education has some economic impacts. Now all campuses are competing for the highest ranking, for the most research grants, for the best professors, for the most diverse students. This is a healthy competition in the market that also has economic impacts. But most importantly, according to the Chronicle of Higher Education, in 2010, the value of educational exports in the United States, which is mostly generated from foreign students studying in the United States, exceeded $20 billion. What are some social impacts that come along with the globalization of higher education? Well, according to Thomas Friedman, a columnist in the New York Times, he spoke in one of his conventions about how there is no longer an average. In the hyper-connected world we live in, everybody has access to information, everybody has access to knowledge. Knowing a lot is not enough anymore. It's what you do with it. Friedman further explains how we live in a world now where you will not be paid or you will not be hired for simply what you know. It's what you can do with what you know. And that puts you in a socially competitive arena with the whole world.